As far back as I can remember, I have wanted to make games. I remember as a kid, I would make these little games out of paper where I would draw airplanes and tanks, and then I'd draw little tokens, and you had to throw them on and to try to hit them. When I was in primary school, our teacher asked us one day what it is that we wanted to be when we grew up. And I remember all the other kids saying things like doctor and Garda or fireman, and I said software engineer, which is pretty embarrassing in hindsight. And my teacher looked at me like I had two heads, and he asked me, was anybody in my family a software engineer? And I just said no. I just really want to make video games. As it happens, I did go on to become a software engineer, and I did it for quite a while. But I could never get the idea of making games and starting a studio out of my head. It was and remains to be my dream. So a couple of years ago, I decided to buy a sketchpad and decided I was going to teach myself how to draw. I'd never really drawn properly before this, and it was pretty, let's say, steep learning curve. Well, once I got to the stage where I could kind of draw things decently, I bought an iPad and started to learn how to do pixel art. It was a very rocky start, but I eventually got to the point where I could produce some pretty good stuff. All of this was done with the goal of starting a game studio and making video games. And with that, I am very proud to say, hello, I am Owen Moylan. I'm the founder of Rune Studio, and this video is about our upcoming debut game, The Corner Cafe. The Corner Cafe is a cozy-ish cafe simulator set in Galway City and County in the year 2160. The game is heavily inspired by Irish folklore and mythology, so think Irish folklore meets 80s sci-fi. In the world of the Corner Cafe, the Wacom Corporation have taken control of virtually every aspect of everyday life. And shortly before the beginning of the game, the Wacom Corporation bought out their largest competitors, Fomorian Inc. and the Danann Corporation. If you are familiar with Irish folklore, those names might have rung a bell just now. We'll get into that more later on. You'll take control of Dan, the reluctant owner of the Corner Cafe, the last independent cafe in the city. Recently somebody asked me what the story of the Corner Cafe is, and could I sum it up in one sentence? And it's actually quite difficult to do, but I settled on the Corner Cafe is about creating an oasis in dystopia. So in the game, the day is split into 3 segments: morning, afternoon, and night. During the day, you'll run the cafe, taking and making customer orders as they come in. Orders are generated based on what you have available, so you can expand your cafe offerings as you grow. You'll start off with just a basic coffee machine, deli counter, kettle, and soup dispenser. You can upgrade these machines as well as buy new ones from the computer in your office. You can also stock new drinks in the mini fridge for sale, like C- Cola, Dagda Light, and Ishka Pro. Although once you stock an item once, you'll have to stock it forever. Customers get used to buying it, so just keep that in mind. Some of the items that customers order are more complex than others, so for example, if a customer orders a roll, you'll need to piece the orders together ingredient by ingredient. But to even get that far, you'll have to have completed the deli prep beforehand. On the other hand, if someone orders an Ishka Pro, you just have to have it in stock and take it out of the mini fridge. One thing we really wanted when we started was for you to be able to customize your cafe to best suit your personality. So by switching to customize mode, you can switch out wallpapers, counters, floors, windows, and of course machines. You can also hang up wall art, buy furniture, plants, and more. You can also just move any of these things about to suit your needs and style. In the next update, this is also where you'll be able to change your character's outfit. If you want more customization options, you can buy what you want from the computer in the office, or you can unlock them by completing quests. Which brings us to the other side of our game. At night and on the weekends, you'll be able to explore the city and county and interact with all the eccentric locals of Galway. These range from old fishermen, cybernetically enhanced artists, and mythical Irish beings like Fomorians, the Tuatha De Danann, Banshees, and Fargerta, and more. By getting to know these folks and completing their quests, you'll be able to unlock new items for your cafe. You'll also be able to influence the community health system. The community health system is like a health bar for the community. Yeah, okay, right. That's pretty obvious, I guess. But at a high level, if you help folks, you'll increase the community's health, and if you help the whack of corporation or just wrong people, you'll decrease it. The level of health in the community has an effect on quests, what upgrades you have available to you, and more. To end the day, you just head home to your apartment. Right now, there's not a whole bunch you can do here beyond a little customizing, but we'll be expanding this in the future to make it a lot more interesting and fun. Let's just talk about the world of the Corner Cafe for a minute. As I said at the beginning, we are really inspired by the mythology and folklore we grew up with, and we really wanted to incorporate as much of that into the game as we could. I've been a huge sci-fi nerd for most of my life, so I really am in love with the idea of mixing these two things together. I don't want to harp on too much about the world, as we may do a video about it in future. If that's something you'd be interested in, let us know in the comments. But just at a high level, throughout the game you'll meet different characters and creatures from Irish folklore and mythology who are all inhabiting the world with you and have their own stories to tell. The game's tone is really lighthearted, very tongue-in-cheek, kind of fourth wall breaking at times. So don't expect a super accurate retelling of the stories you grew up with. We would love to make that game in future, but this is not that game. One thing we really want is for this game to feel Irish and to celebrate our culture, both modern and traditional. So we've included lots of different references and nods to modern Irish pop culture in things like quest titles and character names. We are very passionate about the Irish language, so you'll be able to play the entire game through Irish if you like. In fact, we promise that all of our games will be available through Irish at launch. There's also a lot of different Irish words and phrases that you hear every day, included the English language version, such as a walk, a machara, shaffodes, a storeen, things like that. On top of the art, programming and writing, I am also doing the soundtrack for the game. You can find... Go away. On top of the art, programming and writing, I'm also doing the soundtrack for the game. You can find a playlist of all the tracks that we've released so far. It's all inspired by 80s synthwave, and I am really, really happy with it. You'll have heard it throughout this video also. This game is still very much a work in progress, and we are always looking for folks to give their feedback on it. So if you think this is something you'd be interested in, please join our Discord and subscribe, I guess. We want this to be the first game of many. We can only do that with your help and support. We are a two-person studio. I am the programmer, artist, composer, and writer, and my partner Quiva is taking care of all of the admin, finances, marketing, and serious stuff. This is obviously a pretty big undertaking, but we've already gotten a lot of this done, and we are really excited for you to join us on the journey that remains. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you in the next video. Slán!